On today's episode, we are in the state of New Hampshire, exploring an abandoned state school with an extremely notorious past. With decades of abuse and neglect to its residents, this school is a stain on New Hampshire's past. Join us as we explore and give you the history of the Laconia State School. Okay, so we're back for another explore. We're here in the north. It's probably been about roughly 3 years since we last filmed in the north. We're at an abandoned state school that we wanted to check out. There's a lot of history behind it. So we're gonna run through this place, see what we can find. So we have a little bit of a walk to get to this place. I know. So this is the first sign of power that we see. There's that shed right there. In 1901, the state of New Hampshire drafted legislation to create a state school within their grounds. The goal of this institution was to have a place to house their so-called feeble-minded children. In 1903, the Laconia State School was officially opened with 60 children. Look at this. Controversy followed the Laconia State School almost from day one because they were believers in the eugenics movement. We will cover what this is a little bit later in the story. Look at this. The eugenics movement was a horrific theory that believed in selective breeding between humans. They believed that people with developmental delays and mental health issues should not reproduce. These so-called medical professionals believed that the people they deemed mentally ill could pass on their so-called mental illness onto their offspring. So these floors right here are absolutely hanging up by a thread. Got a beautiful open ceiling there. You can see there's a hole right there. That's barely there. Barely. This pulley's holding on by a thread. There's a pipe room right there. Got pipes. Look at this. This is where they would have taken baths. That's wild. There's so much bird poop here. Unfortunately, part of the eugenics movement was the sterilization of patients. This procedure is a form of permanent birth control, and these patients were forced to partake in this. At this time, New Hampshire did not want the patients at their state schools reproducing. I wonder if this used to be like a nurse's station right here. Maybe they would pass out meds? I don't know. It's possible. Wow. All these cabinets. Looks like they had names on them. I wonder if these were for individual people to hang their stuff or put their stuff. More against there, right there. We're heading into the middle floor now. Steps. This is eerie. One of the founders and trustees of this school, Lillian Streeter, believed that even though he couldn't eliminate the feeble-minded, he could prevent them from having children through this eugenics movement. In his messed up mind, he thought that this would eventually weed out who they deemed feeble-minded over the next several years.
ground. Yeah, I don't trust this. There's a whole bunch of storage here. There used to be another nurse's station. But look at all the desks. Yeah, this floor is tilting down. I don't trust this. I don't know about you. What do you think?
I don't trust it.
It's a cool bathroom right here. Let's go. Hopefully. I don't want to go through there. Do you?
Oh, you see the old wheelchair?
Yeah. Look at the ground though.
I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just in case.
Look at that. There's an old wheelchair right there. I don't know if there's... Yeah. All right.
Part of Laconia's controversial mission at that time was to segregate the feeble-minded because they were thought to be a danger to the society at that time.
I see turrets, yeah. Yeah. That is so cool.
When Laconia was initially established, it was built just for children, but over the next few years, they eventually allowed women over the age of 21 to stay here.
I think we're approaching the gymnasium. This is where they ate. Power. There's, it's a fan.
By 1910, Laconia had added a women's dormitory, dining hall, hospital, and a farm, but overcrowding was starting to become a major issue.
This whole room is buzzing with power. This is so eerie. I don't know. I wonder if the state's paying for this or the taxes. The fan's still on in here. That's eerie as all get up. So the eerie thing about this building is you can still hear the hum of power. This place still has power. I don't know who's paying for it. It's probably the state. But yeah, if I was them, I wouldn't be too happy that my tax dollars are going towards just power being on out of the blue. We've got to be very careful because there might be live wires. As you can see right there, that would shock us. So we're just going to be very careful as we're walking through here.
By 1920, the overcrowding issue became full-blown. Following this was the Great Depression, where parents would send their children over to this school just so they could get meals. During this time, the only thing that seemed to remain steady was the lack of a budget increase. To go along with this, any requests to either repair or expand the buildings were also denied to go along with the budget issues. At this point, Laconia was starting to become more and more well known for its subhuman conditions and its outdated thoughts.
That's the cafeteria in there. I think the gym is over here. Careful, Grace. These wires right here might be live.
It also was around this point that staffing was becoming an extreme issue for the patients here.
This was like the classrooms right here. I think this was the classrooms for the kids. So this is a state school. Would have also had places for kids to study and do classes to fill up their time.
By the early 1940s, there was one staff member to about every 35 patients.
This place is huge. You've got all these. It is. You've got all these details on the walls right here. This was definitely the area where they would have had classes. Gymnasiums right here. I wonder if they've got cameras down.
To go with lack of staffing, the patients here also had to endure one bathroom for about 80 people.
We've got a gymnasium in here. This would have been the workshop area. That's a bell. Trail cameras and motion sensors. So this is eerie. Wow.
To go along with this, the buildings were often overcrowded, with around just under 100 people staying in each individual building. This is an actual photo of the sleeping arrangements in one of these buildings.
power's still on. This is eerie. He had little bleachers here. I am sorry if I get anything inappropriate as far as like graffiti on here. People that do that ruin things for everybody.
People that visited the patients here would often describe this terrible stench wherever they went on this campus. Laconia was just simply one of the last places that you would want to end up if you're having a mental health issue.
We got two little areas. Used to be quite the facility, it looks like. Power's still on over there too. There's like a humming in here. That's where we were up right there. Like a little locker room / classrooms maybe. They had that gated off just in case somebody wanted to touch that.
To go along with the horrible conditions, residents also had no space for personal possessions or anything like that. There also was no privacy for the patients. As you can see in this photo, there was no stalls for the bathrooms. There also were no curtains for the showers, creating an absolutely dehumanizing situation. The staff would also refer to these patients as inmates sometimes. Unfortunately, during this time, the eugenics movement was still being pushed at this school, with some 400 people being sterilized before the year 1958 when it was banned. A former worker would go as far as saying this place was almost like a warehouse for children, with how many people were being sent in and out of here.
Alrighty. Grace, it looks like they do have tunnels. Most of these rooms are empty though. This is so weird.
Former residents have also described how, during the day, they often would have absolutely nothing to do. This contributed to the horrific conditions that these patients faced.
Wonder. Oh, there's no faucet. There's still power on most of these rooms. That's crazy. There's a nurse's station right here too. Yeah, they pulled the water fountain right off the wall. I bet you that's into the other building right there. Oh, it goes even deeper. That's sketchy. Oh, that's eerie. Oh, there's jail cells. They have like 3 or 4 jail cells here, Grace.
Residents would also tell stories about how some of the workers would actually push some of the people that were wheelchair bound down flights of stairs, even though they couldn't even walk. There were also more stories about some of the patients running around with no clothing on because there was a lack of supervision.
Looks like they had a sink in the toilet, maybe. And then a little bench here. This is eerie. Almost looks like a speaker system, too. There's 3 cells here. It's numbered if you look up here. Let me turn on the light for you. 1, 2, and then 3 up there. And I don't know what this was, but it looks like another locked area.
To go along with this abuse, the workers here would often cut these people's hair in such a way so if they attempted to run away, people in the local town would know exactly where they were from, and they would quickly be returned to Laconia.
The stairs. Let me go first. Pipe room. Looks like almost more classrooms. Or offices, actually. We'll stop to eat somewhere. Look at all these cabinets. These don't look that old.
No, they don't. This is definitely. Yeah.
Definitely. You know what I've noticed too? They had bars on these windows. So, stop them escaping. Looks like the power's on this one.
This was a minimum security.
A music area?
No, minimum security.
Prison?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was a.
In the 1950s, things began to change a little bit for the good at Laconia. A new superintendent by the name of Richard Hungerford had been hired, and he started instituting some new policies.
Looks like they had like solitary confinement too for kids that were being bad. Or people that were being bad. It's a really big room.
The prison closed in 2009.
Oh wow. This reminds me of abandoned asylum that I went to back in the day. They would have nurses stations right here.
Richard would increase education, add a geriatric ward, and most importantly, invite family members into the campus to see, document, and help reform the school.
These hallways just roll and roll and roll until we get 2 entrance. We could go downstairs this way.
Where?
There's a stairway right there. Into the abyss. That's an old. phone system. Oh, this is horribly bad down here. Yeah, I don't think we want to spend any time down here. This is black mold.
Let's go.
Yep. I would spend more time, but there's tons of black mold in here. Eerie. Yeah. This is the older building right here. Careful of your step there too. I almost tanked it on my rear.
This probably is down closer to where we just were.
Yeah, I think you're right. But it'd be safer. I don't know. This is like the basement of the basement. It's like the maintenance area and offices. There's an old tape player right there. There's still a lot of stuff still left behind here.
I think I might go out and get some fresh air. I'm starting to feel it.
Okay, you want to go outside, like go upstairs again? We can go out. I'm fine.
Okay.
Yeah, there's tunnels there.
Richard also made it possible to have a little bit more privacy for the residents here. He would also help parents form the New Hampshire Council for Mentally Challenged Children in the following years. His influence on Laconia eventually soured, and he was forced to step down in 1960 with hostility.
Look at, they have like the gated stairs.
The next superintendent of Laconia was named Arthur Tull. His power was pretty much stripped and given to the Department of Health of New Hampshire, so he had less control than anybody else in his position.
These were some of the rooms.
Just like in the earlier years of Laconia, during Arthur's time as superintendent, overpopulation was still an extreme issue.
I know, but I can like feel
Stuff giving, yeah. Yeah. This is where they would have housed. This is literally like their rooms right here.
At this time it was the 1970s, and there was over 1,000 residents and a wait list of over 400 people just to get in here.
This section right here. Oh, not beautiful. They had a little storage area right here to store things. There you go. Look at the tiling.
One of the other shocking facts that I came across was that some of the patients were actually taking care of other patients under the supervision of employees at Laconia.
This was the second floor, I believe. Oh my goodness.
Much of this care that was being given should have been done by a licensed professional, not by a patient within these walls. As mentioned earlier in the documentary, the toileting situation was absolutely horrendous within this school. In the 70s, the toilets in some of the wings were cracked and needed to be replaced. A decision maker at the school would later state that this was a waste of money because he thought that the residents would not know how to flush their toilets.
The walls are just falling apart. Bet you this is asbestos loaded. Eerie. I am. This is one of the areas where they would have had a room here.
To go along with the bathroom issues, there was another point of contention with the families, as the children that were being sent here would often have their clothing mixed up between other patients. It was said by a former worker that the clothing that the patients initially went into the hospital with was the last form of clothing that was actually theirs.
This would have been their view in the morning. Every single room is alphabetically labeled. Look at this decay right here.
During this time frame, medication was also used on the patients to control their actions and make them fit a personality that they might not be.
There's just green on the ground there. I've never seen... I have, but it's rare in Florida to see places like this. Okay. I'm gonna check it out. There you go. Almost looks like a bathroom in here. Place is like a maze. Quietly trying to get our way in and out. Here's the other floor right here. Oh, there's an exit over there. This is eerie.
In the 1980s, parents began to file suits against the school stating that they were not following their own law on maintaining and keeping these conditions within livable standards for their patients.
So to the left here we have the maintenance area. Some smokestacks at a little factory. Maybe they had power running through here. Not much here, so I'm gonna skip this section because there's another couple buildings that could be more interesting for you all. So we just accidentally crashed the drone into the woods. So luckily we found it, but we had to hike through probably 4 or 5 foot high grass to get to it, and it was like hidden in there pretty good. Luckily the drone signaled where it was roughly, so we were able to kind of pinpoint it a little bit. We got lucky without losing it.
You can blame me for that one.
They also made an argument that there was a lack of stimulation for the patients here, causing even more harm than good to their conditions and their mental states. Slowly, a chain of events that would eventually lead to the closing of the school began to be set off.
Made it into one of our final buildings, and this is really, really rough to breathe. Yeah. I wonder if there's a way up here. That's bad. There's stairs. Yep.
By the late 1980s and early 1900s, the school had begun to drastically drop their population.
We got an upper floor to check out. That's pretty cool right there. I wonder what these were. I don't know if I trust this floor.
By 1991, Laconia State School was closed for good, and some of the patients were relocated to other institutions.
That center right there does not look like it's going to hold us. I don't know what these rooms would have been used for. There's a ceiling. Oh, this is eerie. There's an old piano here. That is so decayed.
Later in that year, new plans were drawn up for the former state school.
I don't even trust this floor. I can't tell if that's a tilt or a drop. There's moss and grass, yeah. There's so much dampness in this. I wonder if this was like an attic. This is so weird. I wouldn't want to use that now.
This is so pretty.
Same type of wallpaper.
Yeah.
I said we almost piece out of here.
Did we go in here at all?
We did not.
Do you want to?
Sure. It's so eerie. I don't trust this.
Okay.
That is pretty cool though. Yeah, you've got a pretty big room here. I wonder if this is like the dining room area. Clock's just stopped.
Can't go in there. No meetings.
No, not allowed.
Shortly after Laconia closed, the state of New Hampshire decided to turn these grounds into a minimum security prison. The state of New Hampshire saw this as a good opportunity because all the buildings were there and it wouldn't cost them too much to create a prison out of them.
See if we can find a way into here. This is eerie. We're in another small building right here. Whoa. Oh, this is a hospital wing, maybe? There's still beds here. Look at this. I'm glad we went in here.
The prison that was opened up on these grounds was initially only supposed to be temporary with a cap of 300 inmates. However, in 1997, it became permanent.
This bed has a number on it, B. Almost feels like this might have been a hospital wing. Really don't know. Really tough to breathe in here, though. All the lights are still on. That's just nuts. This is so eerie. Yeah, I've never seen decay like this, and the light's still working. Whole bathroom. Showers. Not shower stalls. Yeah, you had showers over there. There's no privacy here. It's just literally a curtain. It's horrible. I can't leave this place. Can you?
Insane.
More beds right here. D had another number on that bed. Look at this decay. Oh my word, that just fell from the ceiling. That's wild.
Later in 1997, the cap was increased to 500 inmates allowed at this prison. Due to the age of this campus, many of the buildings were falling apart, and they relied upon the inmates' work to keep them maintained.
Some of these beds still have mattresses. That's disgusting. They're labeled alphabetically, I believe. That's you.
This is so cool.
I know. It's wild. Small 2-bedroom.
At this prison, some of the inmates that struggled with substance abuse were put through what was almost like a boot camp. It was a 6-month rehabilitation program that some of the inmates could take advantage of and not serve out the full term if they did this. Unfortunately for a couple of the inmates, the exercise and the harsh weather became too much and they unfortunately passed away.
This place is eerie. I don't know what this would have been. Another bedroom right here. Beds are flipped up on side themselves. A bathroom. Eerie. I've never seen decay like this, where there's still power on. Unreal. Look at this. The ceiling is still like falling in on itself. And somehow there's still lights in here. Look at this place. I don't know how there's still power here. This makes no sense to me.
This, along with the conditions of the building, would eventually lead to 2009, where the prison was closed for good. Since then, most of the buildings have remained completely abandoned, becoming overtaken by weather and vandals.
Oh, there's a frog in there.
Oh, yeah?
I think so. Yeah. A frog. Hey, buddy.
Aww.
I guess this place is home to frogs now.
Yeah.
Frogs and mosquitoes. Oh yeah, he'd come through every now and then.
Yeah.
Oh, look at this. We'll head out after this. This is the nurses area right here, or the administrators.
This place is so decayed.
This is like,
It's been here for like 20, let's see, it closed in 2009.
careful of that.
Years. Decay.
Almost looks like there's a lower level.
It smells so musty.
I know, it's horrible.
Yeah. I don't know if we should go down there.
I will take one quick look down and
Okay, just cover your mouth.
that is so eerie. Heck no. I say for our health's sake, we might want to get out of here.
Yeah, it's really bad.
That's just the door. Oh, there's a kitchen. Ooh. Almost fell through that floor, but you've got a dishwasher, sink, cupboard.
There's no fireplace it looks like.
It's pretty cool, this area, even though it's decayed. A little bit less decayed area. Hello.
Overall, Laconia has an extremely dark history, with a lot of survivors and victims. One of the goals of my channel is to raise awareness to the victims and give people a look of what these buildings are like on the inside. It is up to us to remember history and preserve it so we don't repeat it. And with that being said, I'm gonna finish this week's episode on Laconia. Thank you, and if you like this content, make sure you like and subscribe. Take care, you guys.